Windblown, a one-of-a-kind game that takes not only tons of hours but also skill to 100%. I'm going to need to perfect my dodging skills, purchase countless upgrades from the shop, explore all the different biomes, and take down every boss in the game without dying a single time. And this is the story of how I did it. We awake in this new world as a basilisk and are tasked with taking down an enemy. What I didn't know is that this was our first run. We soon meet up with this shrine looking thing and are tasked with choosing our first memory. Memories are basically perks or passives that enhance your character or give you unique abilities during your run. Next, we're thrown into a fight with what I can only assume is some sort of boss or mini boss, and I get popped. Each time you die in a run, you're saved and are sent back to this island. Here, there are characters that allow you to spend the currency you earned during your runs on valuable upgrades. I immediately purchased the health flask upgrade as being able to heal will be extremely valuable going forward. While exploring the island, we meet up with this robot character whose name is Friend Forever, and he seems to be having some problems. We need to find some sort of item to repair him, so I head over to the cannon and set out on my second run. Most enemies you encounter during your runs are basic. They drop a tiny bit of currency and aren't all that difficult to take out. Moving on, we run into our first optional gate. These are scattered throughout the biomes and each allow you to spend either some of your health or shells to grab an upgrade. I had no idea what this was, and anything new is cool to me when first starting a game, so I decided to trade my health for it. This is an active ability that will summon a bladestorm around me, damaging enemies. Next, I take down some more enemies before this one drops something called an encrypted memory. These have a small chance of dropping from enemies and allow you to purchase them as upgrades back at the island. Once purchased, they will then be able to appear during your runs for you to use. I'm low on health and I've already used my potion, and this guy looks like he means business. Luckily, he did not mean business and is actually able to help us repair our old friend back at the base. But unfortunately, he sacrifices his life during the process. Just past him, we run into this koi fish thing. These guys are really important. Each time you find one, you're able to send all your resources back to the island except for your shells, which are only used to purchase things during your current run. These are very important because if you die without dropping off your items, you'll lose everything you had on you. Alright, hopefully you have a good understanding of the game now, or at least enough to understand what's going on. Just know there are lots of different weapon types, upgrades, and items, but they're all purchased from the shop and we only have access to a limited few of them right now. This run ends up dying shortly after against these two large enemies, but luckily I'm able to restore Friend Forever, who will now allow us to purchase upgrades from the encrypted memories we find during our runs. My next few runs, I was starting to get the hang of the game a little better, but I still ended up dying over and over and over. But with each run, I made a little bit more progress than the last. Before I knew it, I made it to the boss of this biome, and I was actually able to beat him on my first try. After beating each biome's boss, you're rewarded with a hot spring that restores all of your HP, and just beyond that is a shop. Here you can purchase upgrades, new weapons, and potions. Most of the time I'll end up purchasing potions here as they do not refill once they've been used, and the only way to replenish them is through shops like this. We arrive in the second biome and are introduced to a brand new mechanic, the altar attack. After using your weapon a few times, there's a reverse symbol that will appear above your head and will activate a more powerful attack of your weapon. This attack not only does noticeably more damage, but also gives you a few invincibility frames. The new factory biome introduces a ton of new enemies, and it's safe to say that it's going to take me a bit to get used to their attack patterns. I progress through the world taking down enemies, collecting trinkets, and grabbing any new upgrades that I see. Unfortunately, I end up getting comboed by these two and am sent back to the island. However, this is a new PB, so I'm quite happy about this. My very next run, I end up making it all the way back to the first biome's boss. However, I end up losing to him this time, dropping a ton of cogs in the process. Luckily, I have enough saved to make some essential purchases though. I immediately buy the second health flask, meaning we'll have double the amount of heals that we did previously. Hopefully this will allow me to make it even further in future runs. I then head over to the cannon and set out once again on another expedition. This time with my eyes set on the boss of the second biome. One thing I've noticed is that ranged weapons are far superior to melee weapons. In my head, it makes the most sense to have a melee item in my first slot and a ranged item in the second slot, but I also quickly learned that double ranged weapon is insanely powerful. Before I knew it, I find myself back at the first biome's boss, and this time, I plan to win. I then made my way through the factory, collecting items, upgrading my skills, and taking down even the toughest of enemies in my path until we've discovered yet another new skill, Crystallize. This skill is extremely powerful and acts as an execute when enemies are on low HP. The skill only works on larger enemies, but that's totally fine with me as the basic enemies aren't too difficult to deal with anyways. Before I knew it, I found myself at a staircase with a giant skull on it. And you know what that means. Boss time. Yeah, I died pretty much immediately. Back at the island, I do purchase a few more upgrades, but I will not be going over every single one of them as there are literally hundreds and listing each of them would take way too long. If I wanted to stand a chance at beating the second biome's boss, I would need to play a near perfect biome 1. By this, I essentially mean choosing the right upgrades and doing my best to avoid taking unnecessary damage and saving my potions for as long as I can. This attempt, I unfortunately did burn one, but I was able to take down the boss of the first biome. Then, in the factory, I made it all the way to the boss, but unfortunately I had no potions to spare. But to my surprise, this is what happened. Yeah, I wish I could say that I beat it, but unfortunately not. However, I did feel like I was getting used to the attack patterns, and if I managed to make it here with both potions available, I might have a real chance at taking him down. A few tries later, I had an attempt that got him down to around half HP. I could feel that I was getting close. At least, that's what I was telling myself. Here's a look at some of my attempts over the next 3 hours. But then, I got on one of the craziest runs ever. You'll notice I made a few purchases at the shop, one of which being the third potion, and this is essential. We pick up an early boost, increasing our health by a whopping 50, and then find a chest containing a kunai knife, a really solid weapon that inflicts a curse on the opponent each time it's used. This was the start of the double range weapon run. I once again found myself face to face with the second biome's boss, but this time I had 3 potions available. Over my 7 previous fights with this boss, I had picked up on a few important things. This boss will attack you in rapid succession, and then send a wave of mines to try and throw you off. This is one of the best times to get damage in, as he's literally standing still in the center of the arena. The thing that I had the most trouble with were these little bots that summoned a shockwave attack on a timer. As long as I didn't get hit by too many of these, I was golden. And before I knew it, I had taken down the second biome's boss. It did take me 8 attempts, but finally beating this guy felt so good knowing my attempts had not gone to waste. And I even had a potion to spare. This run was not over yet. I continue towards the shop and make sure to purchase another potion, and with that, we've officially made it to the third biome. This biome is called the Rat Village, and you can quickly see why. This world is actually one of the easier ones in my opinion, depending on your build. We've got a ton of health, which is great, as the enemies here have attack patterns that I'm not yet used to. And now, it's time to see just how far we can take this run. Before I knew it, I found myself face to face with the boss, and it just so happened to be the head of the previous boss. Maybe I'm just good at dodging or something, but this guy was an absolute breeze. With that, we've officially managed to clear the third biome on our very first try, and off to the fourth biome we go. Let me start by saying this biome is extremely difficult. It's called the Incubator, and you'll soon see why. You remember those things in the previous biomes called basic enemies? Yeah, well, forget about that. Every single enemy in this world is a mini boss, each with their own unique attack pattern. Thanks to the insane amount of health I have, I did manage to survive all the way until the final boss, or bosses I should say. But these guys are on a whole different level. You get to choose the order in which you fight these guys, and I decided to go with the green one first. I did somehow manage to get him down to around half health, but I wasn't able to take him down. How on earth am I going to be able to take down all three? Not to mention, I had gotten extremely lucky this attempt with the items and boosts that I had. Well, on my very next attempt, this is what happened. I somehow managed to take down the green boss. Next, I tried my best to take down the blue one, but I don't have any potions to spare, so we do end up losing to him. But again, a new PB. I did get some more insight on these guys' attack patterns, and next time I make it here, I should be able to take less damage. However, over my next few attempts, I just couldn't get a good run going, and on the times that I did, I just ended up getting popped. Time after time, I just ended up dying. Whether it be to being greedy or just bad dodges, most of my runs weren't even making it to the fourth biome. But then, I got on my best run yet. A run so good that it might just go all the way. I had made it to the game's final bosses, with 3 out of my 4 potions available. I've got a potion for each of the bosses. Surely with this, I'd be able to win, right? Well, this is what happened. With that, we've taken down the game's final bosses, and we even managed to collect every single achievement in the game along the way, except for one. But before we talk about that, I want to give you guys my honest thoughts on the game. I want to start by saying that this game is still in early access, but it feels really polished. At its $25 price point, usually I'm not one to play games like this more than a couple times, but this game was genuinely really fun. Even after 100%ing it, I ended up coming back to it and doing some more runs in between editing this video. Which, by the way, these videos take a really long time to make, and I'm still pretty new to creating videos in general, so subscribing would go a really long way. Anyways, I would definitely recommend this game to you. I genuinely had fun and can't think of anything I disliked about the game other than wanting more content. And considering this game is early access, I'm pretty confident that there will be. And now, it's time to talk about the game's final achievement, which unfortunately is actually bugged. I just need to collect 30 gifts, which as you can see I've got over 70 of. I did some digging and lots of people are actually having a problem with this, so unfortunately my Steam page doesn't display the 100%. But technically I have met all the qualifications for them, so I still consider this to be a 100%ed game. Anyways, I want to thank each and every one of you for making it to this point in the video. I genuinely enjoy making content like this, and if you could take a second to leave me some feedback or recommend a game that you'd like to see me play in the comments below, I would really appreciate it. Anyways, thank you once again for watching, and I hope to see you guys in the next video.